My family situation is totally chaotic, but I never know if she'll really be there for me. My mom ended up driving drunk last night and got pulled over.
Catelynn from Teen Mom is revealing some seriously dark secrets about her family, and her family is not staying quiet.
She didn't even post the messages she had with my mom, calling my mom a piece of shit and all this shit, when my mom didn't even say anything.
And when you hear what they're all saying about each other, you're honestly going to be really shocked.
No. Tyler is not nearly. He almost divorced my sister like 12 times. No, he's definitely not nice. And he's got a boyfriend. This is a true story, too.
Now, to understand what's fully going on with Catelynn and her family, there's some pretty important backstory, and that's that Catelynn and Tyler had their yearly visit with their daughter that they had placed for adoption, Carly, and I think we all know that over the last few years, these visits haven't exactly been yearly.
No, it's just frustrating because I was 16 years old when I made those decisions.
And there's been a lot of drama between Catelynn and Tyler and Carly's adopted parents, Brandon and Teresa, and they just haven't been seeing each other as frequently, and it seems like they're in a better place now, though, and Catelynn and Tyler got to visit with her, but this is where things get extremely dramatic, and if you remember how Catelynn's mom, April, acted on Teen Mom, then this story might not exactly surprise you.
My mom is pretty unpredictable, and she can be really moody.
But the one person who absolutely shocked me, at least, was Catelynn's brother, Nick. But I'll get to him in just a second because we need to talk about April first. Because for some reason, Catelynn and Tyler invited her over to visit, which in my opinion is just extremely generous because she's caused so many problems for them over the years, especially when it comes to Carly.
Although our friends think adoption makes sense, my mom is pretty disappointed that we're considering it.
And she's been to their visits with her in the past, but it seems like she really caused some problems this time. And according to Catelynn on Instagram, April started drinking in front of them, which is bad enough because Carly was there, and I doubt that her parents Brandon and Teresa were very comfortable with that. But then you have a whole other aspect that makes this entire thing pretty shocking, and it's that Catelynn has asked her mom not to drink in front of her, and Catelynn posted a ton of screenshots from her grandma and her little brother Nick about what happened, and this is what Catelynn had to say about it on Instagram. In quotes, "This is how my family treats me the morning after our visit, the morning after saying goodbye again to Carly, a morning when I'm waking up with anxiety and missing the time spent with our firstborn, the morning after seeing my mother drink a beer at our visit, even though I spoke about my boundaries and not wanting to be around her when she is drinking, a morning when I was going to have to call her out for that, but I'm the toxic one for that." So it's pretty clear that April crossed a boundary that she knew that she shouldn't have crossed, but things only got messier from there because from what I can tell, it sounds like Catelynn's grandma and brother crashed the visit because it seems like Brandon and Teresa had probably approved who could be part of the visit and who could not be, and Catelynn's grandma and brother showed up wherever they were all meeting, and in Catelynn's Instagram post, she went on to say, "How can a grandma and brother speak to me like this? I'm the one that's working so bleeping hard to break these intergenerational traumas, so when is enough? When does a person just walk away from all this toxic bleep?" And this is not how a family is supposed to be. People act like that. People act like they don't do wrong to me or don't do toxic things to me. But what about all this? I'm so over it. I am exhausted. And in the screenshots that she shared, there are messages from her grandma and Nick. And her grandma doesn't deny crashing the visit, but Nick claimed that they called April to confirm that they wouldn't interrupt the time with Carly. And he and Catelynn went back and forth fighting with each other, which is obviously pretty shocking because the last time we really saw Nick on TV, he was just an innocent little kid and he seemed to almost worship Catelynn and Tyler, so it's so sad to see what's happened to their relationship now, but this is really only the beginning of everything that's going on with them because Nick didn't stop with the text to Catelynn. He got on Instagram Live and spent hours talking about Catelynn and Tyler, and he claimed that Catelynn wasn't posting the full screenshots of the text messages, but I don't know what could have been in there that she wasn't showing because it looked pretty thorough to me, but he also made some pretty wild accusations about Tyler. He said that Tyler has tried to leave Catelynn a dozen times and that he does have a boyfriend in Arizona, and he claims that there were comments on social media between Tyler and the guy in Arizona, and that Tyler said that he got mono from him the last time that they kissed, and that Catelynn allegedly booked a trip to Arizona to see if he was with him. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, the social media comments comment thing seems like a joke between friends. Maybe it's true, but in my opinion, Nick's entire meltdown seems like a family of people who were reliant on Catelynn and Tyler financially, and Catelynn and Tyler pulled back on giving them money, and now the whole family is melting down because they're mad about it. Because Nick also mentioned something else interesting, and he said that Catelynn and Tyler owed a ton of money in taxes, and that they had to pay $20,000 per quarter, but that could just be quarterly estimates, or maybe they're having similar tax issues to Leah, because we know that she just got in trouble for owing $1 million in taxes, so it's not that far-fetched. But he even said that when the show ends, they're kind of screwed, which is one of the only things that he actually said that makes sense, because look at their sources of income. As far as I know, their only real source of income is Teen Mom. They don't have a podcast like the other Teen Moms. They don't seem to do many brand deals on social media. It doesn't really seem like they're setting themselves up for financial success if the show ever ends, so it would make sense that they're starting to worry a bit about money, and it would even make my theory make more sense that they're pulling back on supporting their families and being met with some attitude. And if you can believe this isn't the end of the drama, because Catelynn continued to go off about Nick on her Instagram story, and she shared some screenshots of texts that they shared, because allegedly Nick stole from Catelynn and Tyler, and when he did, Catelynn scheduled a lie detector test to see if he was telling the truth or not, and the results came back inconclusive, and his response to Catelynn about it were not nice. So according to Catelynn, this has been a pattern for Nick, which is, again, just really sad, because we watched how much he loved Catelynn and Tyler when he was a kid, and Catelynn said that he is now brainwashed, and I think we can assume that she means by April, and hopefully that changes eventually. It's, an extremely tricky situation, because there are a lot of different angles to look at this from, and on one hand, everything that's gone on is extremely toxic, and Carly is definitely old enough to see the family's dysfunction during their visit. She is now 14 years old, and she doesn't deserve to experience that drama during her visit with her birth parents, and that was literally the reason why her birth parents placed her for adoption in the first place. And I understand why Catelynn and Tyler think that they're breaking cycles and not toxic compared to the rest of their family, but on the other hand, isn't it kind of toxic to be posting all of this on social media in the first place? I mean, part of me just wishes that they would have just, rose above it and keep it all to themselves. And even though this is obviously a very difficult situation to navigate, and I'm sure that she was super upset and frustrated to be harassed by her grandma and little brother, and I definitely don't blame her at all, but I also think that the entire family has a lot of maturing and healing to do, and hopefully, if they need to, Catelynn and Tyler can distance themselves from her family once and for all, because she's given them so many chances at this point that it's kind of ridiculous. But what do you guys think of all this? Whose side are you on? Do you think it's okay that Catelynn's posting this on social media, or do you think that she should keep things private? Guys, let me know in the comments down below.